To be honest, it took me a while to come to this realization for myself. But I truly think that habits in all sort of forms and capacities are the key to a good, happy, healthy life. And so to maintain my confidence in my own personal style as being an edgy chic minimalist, these are the habits that I like to do.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like.
Hey there, fashion friends. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome for the very first time if you are new here. So if you are new here, let's talk about what I'm doing here on this channel. On this channel, I am speaking to how you can find your own personal confidence in your own personal style, but as well as that, helping you to find pieces that you absolutely love to build and curate a wardrobe that you will love for years and years to come. Along with that, I like to share little tidbits on my own personal style, which is edgy chic minimalist, most days. So if that sounds like you would like to be a part of that, then make sure to click the subscribe button and the little bell to get notified when I post new episodes. Okay, so like I said, today's episode is about habits. I like to talk about habits here on this channel because habits to me are a great way of being intentional, but being intentional in an effortless sort of way. So for me, because style is so important to me, it always has been. After 36 years, I've really honed in on my specific style personality, my style type. I like to say style personality more than style type because I think style types kind of puts you into like a certain box. Versus I think style personality explains your sort of combination, your personal combination of style. So now that I've kind of established that, and I've sort of established it to be under the umbrella of edgy chic minimalist, although I definitely fluctuate outside of that sometimes as well, I've now kind of created habits or have, whether they've been super intentional or whether just by default, that have helped me to maintain the confidence for that style personality. When I maintain my confidence, it helps me to sort of quiet down the insecurities, or helps me to ignore the insecurities a little bit more, or not, let the kind of insecurities take over, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm creating today's episode, is just because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that feel the same way as I do, and do want to maintain your confidence in your own personal style. Maybe you are doing some habits, but you're not aware of it, or maybe you want to form some habits and aren't really sure where to start. This sort of episode is going to be helpful for you then. Okay, so I think with that, let's get into this. Okay, so number one is don't compare. So this is a habit that I still struggle with this habit. We all do, I'm sure. I'd say I've really worked on this habit in probably the last decade, in the last 10 years. Started when I realized when I was working in the fashion industry. I've mentioned before on my kind of style journey videos that when I worked in the fashion industry, I definitely struggled with confidence because there was so much comparison. Like when you're working in the fashion industry and everybody's stylish, everybody's, got an opinion, and you're also being, shoved these sort of trend forecasts and these trend itineraries that you need to follow, you start to kind of second guess yourself on, what style truly is, or if you've got the right style. So I think like halfway through my career, I had to actively tell myself to stop comparing myself to others. I had to genuinely, like, if I felt myself comparing, the other side of me had to step in and say, stop comparing. And then social media came into play and was getting stronger and stronger as well. So then that was a whole nother ball game. Then the next challenge was this channel. Starting my YouTube channel was very difficult not to compare myself to other fashion channels, not to compare myself to other YouTubers in general. So because I've been through these sort of challenges, I think the best kind of piece of advice for somebody that is kind of trying to work on that and just starting out to try to figure out how to not compare is, I think it's just that trigger point of trying to be aware of when you're going to do something that the temptation of comparison could happen. So maybe it's that you're going to a party, Or maybe it's that you're just gonna go scroll onto your social media. If you're about to go scroll on your social media, kind of give yourself a little pep talk and be like, all right, there's gonna be some moments in there, there's gonna be some temptations of comparison, of comparing myself to others on this, scroll. So I think just kind of being self-aware and then going into it and being like, all right, I'm not going to compare myself. Like when I scroll, I'm just going to appreciate these things for what they are. To stop yourself, maybe it's you just tell yourself straight up, like stop comparing, or maybe it's that you separate yourself from it. Maybe it's if you are scrolling on social media and you start to feel that kind of overwhelmment of comparison, that you just, put your phone down and walk away anytime you feel that comparison coming on. So there we go. Use Open Wardrobe, who is the sponsor for today's video. With this app, I can keep track of my wardrobe and all the pieces in it to really ensure the best looks, which again, to me, when you're aware of all the pieces you have and the looks that they can create, it really then as well allows for that kind of confidence in those looks, because you kind of get to know those looks and get comfortable with those looks and can get inspired by those looks. It's great to be able to see the pieces visually in a really nice gridded visual way. It really allows for me to be able to see the best approach to an outfit. I can see the look all together before I even pull the pieces. Along with that, it makes it super easy to plan out my week's outfits to ensure I always have the best look that I feel the best in. Another fun tool is that I can actually now share my looks with my friends as well. So we can make style adjustments for each other or just inspire each other. Just be each other's cheerleaders to help boost each other's confidence. Because you know what I always say? Love and support each other. So if you're interested in making Open Wardrobe a part of your habits, make sure to check out the link down below. And the best part is it's free, free, free. Okay, number 2 is eliminating toxicities. So this is kind of a deeper, kind of heavier one for my fashion channel normally. I do think it's something important to speak to when it is coming to your own personal confidence. Or toxicities can come in all forms and sizes. They can come with friendships, social media, they can come in the form of, television. I think for me, what really helped was being aware of those things that were sort of causing contamination to my confidence. And so I don't really like to say toxic people, because that just sounds so extreme, but I guess more than anything, I should say it's like the negative perspective of certain people is something that I began to kind of eliminate within my control. Obviously, sometimes you don't have control over it. Like when I was working in the fashion industry, I didn't have control over eliminating certain people out of my life. And as a lot of you know, if you did work in the fashion industry or are working in that fashion industry, there's a lot of sort of toxic or negative behaviors within that industry. And I'm sure with a lot of different industries. So that's kind of something that's a whole nother kind of topic of figuring out how to navigate and handle that. So as a habit for me, I've kind of gotten to a point where I've figured out how to, if I want to maintain like a friendship or a connection with something that's a little bit more negative, how can I kind of navigate around that negativity? I think the main idea is just that, you want to kind of maintain your serenity, maintain your sort of integrity of your confidence. And I think anytime something is kind of pulling you down, for me, I've just kind of gotten in the habit now of either being able to be mindful of it enough to sort of kind of segue around it when it comes around, or to just separate myself from it. I can definitely even now look back on kind of my behavior and how I've changed once I've kind of separated myself from that negative behavior. And I would say is a definite contributing factor to maintaining my confidence in my own personal style. Number 3 is only wear what I love. So this may sound like an obvious one, like an easy one, but you'd be surprised. I've talked about this many a times of just, either pulling things in that I, like the idea of, or pulling things in that fit like a certain trend, or pulling things in that I think other people will like. So when I started my minimalist journey, I don't know if everybody knows that I'm somebody that takes a minimalist approach to my life. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm like this purist minimalist, but I definitely take a minimalist approach to my life and have a pretty minimalist lifestyle. When I started that, one of the tips that I heard was that, you know, when you're bringing something new in, whether it's clothes or anything, that you need to kind of look at that piece and be like, do I love this? Like, am I obsessed with this? Do I really need this? Is this going to bring value to my life? Or do I just want it just to want it, or just, you know, to feed that sort of impulse? And that really changed things for me. Like, it's again, sounds so simple, but really creating that habit for me really contributed big time to my confidence, in maintaining my confidence, because then what was happening was I was wearing everything that I loved, and so I always loved what I was wearing. And so I never had that sort of insecurity. And obviously there's moments, you know, that I still had insecurities or whatever, but for the most part, yeah, it just, wearing what I love and only having pieces that I love very much helped me maintain that style confidence. Number 4 is look for inspiration everywhere. So I've heard several interviews with like fashion designers where people ask them, where do you get your inspiration? And they'll always say like, everywhere, anywhere. And sometimes I'm like, oh, come on, you know, all right. But it is true. At the end of the day, it's true. It's like, really, when you are allowing for yourself to be open to it, if you're making it sort of like a priority, making it a habit, and you sort of let yourself kind of be open to seeing it, it's crazy how inspiration can strike in the craziest places. If you've been watching, as you know, I've been wearing bandana scarves a lot lately. And a big part of that was I watched Newsies, you know, good old Newsies with Christian Bale. Yep. And I watched it with my son a few months back. And yeah, Jack Kelly, the leader of the Newsies, would always wear a bandana scarf, like tied around his neck, because he wanted to be a cowboy in Santa Fe, you know, as you do. And he kind of combined that then with his sort of Newsies paperboy style. And I just thought a really cool steezy vibe to it. And that totally inspired me. I was like, yes, I'm going to start wearing bandana scarves again. I'm going to, you know, yeah, I think that's definitely a habit that has very much contributed to my confidence, because once you get inspired by something that's like kind of not necessarily unique, it's not like, you know, wearing bandana scarves is a new thing, you know, like it's been around since goodness knows, you know, since the Wild Wild West. It's not like I'm inventing anything new, but I am bringing in that just a little bit of style inspiration that's a little bit different from over here into my, and then translating it into my own personal style, into my own personal style personality, which then is kind of inspired and a little bit more unique. And then when you do that and you get compliments and, you know, people respond to it, then it becomes, you know, something that then kind of lifts you up and builds that confidence and, you know, fills your little confidence tank. So there we go. Number 5 is listen to badass music. This has been something I've been doing forever. I love music. I'm extremely eclectic in my music taste. I love all forms of music. To me, it's one of the most perfect ways of being able to communicate or portray or invoke, you know, those emotions, those feelings. And so for me, why I love, I guess, for, you know, lack of a better term, badass music or boss music, just things that basically invoke a certain confidence.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big bunny rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
They sort of invoke an inner warrior or an inner sort of alter ego. So I've definitely always felt like I've had this kind of inner fierce, badass warrior sort of woman. So there's certain songs that like awaken her and awaken that boss warrior woman. So I think when I listen to those sort of songs or that music, it definitely, you know, bubbles up a lot of confidence. And I think that's why I like to use music so much in my videos, why I love to do video montages with kind of some badass music. A lot of times we'll be dancing around or sort of having that, you know, alter ego model, you know, poses, you know, with a more stern face, is because it's definitely, it's playing to, the playlist that I'm listening to is actually a playlist I've made on Spotify. It's just all these songs by these just empowering women that just, like just make me feel empowered. And so a lot of times that's what you are genuinely seeing in those video montages, is me just kind of bringing out that alter ego, bringing out that inner warrior woman. And so I think everybody has that. Everybody has that alter ego inside of them, that badass alter ego. And the music could be different for everybody. I definitely have a range of those type of songs that invoke that. It's not like a specific type or specific genre that does it for me. It's just, I couldn't even tell you what specifically it is. There's just something, it's like a perfect storm with a song that, you know, pulls that out of me. And so I know it sounds completely abstract and separate from, you know, my fashion channel, but I truly, truly feel that music, gosh, can invoke so much empowerment within your style confidence. And so I always say to people, like, if you're trying stuff on from your closet, like put on some good, just like good music that, you know, empowers you. Or maybe you're headed to an interview and you're driving in your car, put on some good, you know, empowering music. It definitely has an effect, and it definitely will have an effect on your confidence. All right, my lovelies, that is it for today's episode. I hope that it was helpful for you. Definitely comment down below and let us know if you have a habit that helps you maintain your own personal style confidence. If you did enjoy today's episode, you know what to do. Give me that thumbs up, comment below, share with your friends, and subscribe for future weekly episodes. Click that little bell to get notified when I post those new episodes. All right, you have a lovely rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay safe, love and support each other, and we will definitely be chatting soon. Bye.